but thanks for guys for trying to get out that link. I do appreciate it. So let me get rid of the drawings that I made a little earlier. I hope I gave you a good overview of how I'm trying to attack the euro dollar over the course of the next couple of sessions. You know, based on, and now that's based on some strong numbers. If we have weak numbers today, you know, especially ISM, you know, both ADP and ISM, if they're weak, or the dollar doesn't get a lift after we're just going to pop right back into this into the apex of this triangle. But you can see this triangle, and I'm going to delete that for a second. I'm going to delete that for a second. Oops, delete that for a second. You can see how tight of a range we're in, and you know, we're getting close to breaking out. I mean, we're getting really close, and I assume doesn't mean it's going to happen. I assume it's this week. I assume that we have, because of the data that we're getting today and the non-farm payroll, we are going to be breaking out one way or the other. You know, now based on the trend that we have here in the euro, and when you have a pennant, you know, or a triangle, it tends to be a continuation of trend pattern. That's what they tend to be. My assumption is it's going to break to the downside. But again, in order for me to play the euro to the downside today, I'm going to want to make sure that we have a strong ADP number and a strong ISM number. And I don't mind shorting the euro dollar. I don't mind shorting it as we close in at this 108 level, because I'm making an assumption if the data is strong today that the euro dollar will probably be towards 107.50, maybe 107 by non-farm payroll on Friday. Now again, if it's weak, then what we're going to do is we're going to end up bouncing back towards 110. So you know, right now buying or selling the euro is a little premature for me. All right. Now let's also confirm from that low to this high. So, you know, we got to look at these extensions, and you see the 127% extension comes in at 108.32. Then we have obviously the 108, you know, 108.10. You know, however you want to look at that support, we made it as low as 108.07. You know, I'm just looking at basically 108.10 as being really key support. But 108.30, oh, let's go 1.0810. 1.0830 is being pretty key support. Now resistance on the way back up. Okay, so let's just imagine the data is weak. So if the data is weak, you know, where do we go? Well, chances are we're coming right back to test this breakdown point. So a move back up towards 109.25 would be entirely possible on some weak data this morning. Okay, 1.0925. We are in a range bias. Okay, let's go into the cable, because the pound, like I said, tomorrow is a very big day for the cable. We're expecting finally a shift with the MPC members, and now the market is looking for, you know, dissenters. And then we also have the inflation report. So, you know, people are expecting some pretty big, you know, pretty big news out of the Bank of England tomorrow. And with that being said, the cable is being bid up even after services PMI came in. Oh, here, wait. You know what? Let me try this. Give me 1 second, guys. I have people that are saying this browser doesn't work, so let me go. Dashboard. No. Invite other people. How do I invite other people? No. Oh, invite others. Okay. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna quote treat. Log into joinwebinar.com and enter ID 748 141 744. Okay, there we go. Okay. So anyway, the I don't know what's up with Citrix, but something's happening with Citrix. Okay, sorry. Going back into the cable. So the cable, we um, we had a little false net. I should actually redraw that. So we had this trend line that was in play. We broke it last night. Services, actually in Asia, services PMI came in worse than expected overnight. It didn't really matter. It's kind of like the cable's got a very similar situation to the dollar right now. The market is expecting the Bank of England. Okay, the market is expecting the Bank of England to start raising rates shortly after the Fed. Okay, and with that um, with that being said, the the cable's being bid up regardless. Services PMI number, crap. Who cares? You know, cable's getting bid up. That's why even if we have really crap data today, as long as it's not completely, a huge miss, the dollar's probably going to get bid up anyway. So you want to be buying it on dips because people are expecting the Fed to start raising rates, next month. So that's why I think the cable is being very well bid too. All right, and that's why the pound and the dollar are just kind of playing an arm wrestling match, if you will. All right, so we had this false little breakdown of that support, and we're rallying back. You know what we could be doing too, and I don't want to get too carried away with being long the cable at this point either. Um, is we could be doing this, inside this hourly channel. So I suspect rallies up towards 156.50, going to find some resistance, and then obviously 156.85. That's just been 650, 56.85. This just, big resistance levels that we've been dealing with anyway. All right, support. Well, supporting the pound probably be, as we made that false breakdown over here, it's probably going to be down here around 154.70. I mean, this is obviously really big support down here, 65.70 right through here. Okay, and it's really choppy. Don't get carried away buying the pound. That's the one thing I want to make sure that you all see is you recognize the fact that the pound, even though it gets these surges higher, um, we get these surges higher, we get rejections up here. They spike up and right back down again. It happens all the time around these levels. So just don't get carried away buying the cable as we run into resistance, because it's been very frustrating for those of you that have been doing that. I personally haven't been doing it, but you can see from the price action how frustrating it is. Every time we get up here, it gets swatted right back down. So anyway, support. Well, actually, that's probably not even great support today. Support would probably be right through here, 155 and a quarter. Okay, for today. Okay, let's go over to the Swissy. So the Swissy is in, again, I'm long the Swissy not because I'm long the dollar. I'm long the Swissy because I'm short Swiss francs. Plain and simple. Okay, the dollar Swiss is strong, and why? Because no one wants to own Swiss francs. I don't know how else to really explain it. Um, hold on, really quick. um, you know, uh, sorry, I had somebody just say something really funny to me, and I can't. I have to I have to just laugh and smile. I can't really say anything because it's laughing because he's saying how I feel right now. Sorry. Anyway, Joe, if Trading Points Joe is listening in right now, I'm laughing. So just know I'm laughing my ass off at the moment. So sometimes, by the way, if Joe Trading Points is listening right now, you do wear a members only jacket in your underwear in front of the mirror, singing to Tom Cruise. By the way, just in case you happen to be listening in right now, which you sometimes are. Dollar Swiss, again, I'm short Swiss francs because I don't um, think anybody wants to be long the Swiss franc. Not while there's not a crisis, if you will. If Greece or the periphery come back into the forefront and they're pushed back to the front burner, I'm not going to be long. I'm not going to be short Swiss francs, but I am going to be short Swiss francs as much as possible while there is now no crisis. Okay, and that's why I'm long the dollar Swiss, not because I'm long the dollar, but the Swissy is holding up very, very well. Um, and we turned bullish when it broke above 95.40, and it's been a really nice run. It's been 250 pips over the last 2.5 weeks. It's been a real nice gradual run. Now, we are probably facing some resistance soon, so just keep that in mind. I do believe that as we make a run up towards 99 cents, it's going to be a bit of a problem, okay, because that's going to be the 786 retracement as we make our way up there. If you go over to a 4-hour chart, we had this really big rejection down here. We got to see where our extensions come into. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. There we go. 161% extension comes in at 98.20. It's probably going to be pretty good resistance today, just FYI. 98.20. Support on dips, 97.20. You'll be, if we get a dip down to 97.20. Oh, dollar Swiss dipped to 97.20. And it give you a place to be long at a very good price. Oh, yep, that would be the Greek gods. Whoops. Greek gods in the Orthodox Church singing to you, saying, "Oh my God, you're so lucky that you got a dip in the dollar Swiss down to that level, because it's going to give you a nice place to be on the long side down here." That would be the Greek god singing. Oh, I snuck up on you, didn't I? You didn't even expect that one to come. You had no idea that was coming. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Let's see. Um, let's go over to the yen. Okay, so the yen. You know what I'm really most surprised with at today is I'm very surprised that the dollar yen with equities bouncing today, and you can see the Dow futures are up, what, 60 points right now? With the Dow futures up 60 points, I'm very surprised that the dollar yen has not rallied past this 124.66, which is really key resistance right now. Well, obviously 124.50 is, but 124.65 is the 786. I'm surprised we haven't launched past that already, which also is scary because the market may be bid up this morning, but the way Apple closed yesterday, and you guys know we're kind of focusing on Apple right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dow futures are up 60 points right now if we fill the gap right at the open. As soon as the equity markets open, if that happens, the dollar yen could very easily come back under pressure. So, with that being said, okay, support, it's trend line support. We're going to watch it. Okay, as we come back to 124 by the time we get there. So support's going to be 120. Hold on. Yeah, I'll say 124. 124. Resistance is at 124. 50, 65. We are very much in a range. Okay, but 124. I'll just right 124 point. You know, some big resistance coming through here. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Let's go to the Canadian. So the Canadian was just printing new lows. Okay. Now the dollar Canadian 161% extension comes in at 132.50. That would be the target today if we get strong data, strong U.S. data. 132.50 would be where I would target if I was long the dollar Canadian, which I am not right now, unfortunately. I picked it up yesterday at 131.20, 19 actually, and I sold it at 131.55. So I just took 35 pips out of it and ran. But let me state something really quick. You guys know I'm targeting 140 in the dollar Canadian, and you guys know that I basically bought the dollar Canadian at 124 and change. I bought it here, right? Sold most of it here at 130, okay? And I'm just buying it as it's trending higher. As I've told you many, many, many times over the years, and I'll continue to tell you, my bias in a move like, I'm looking at the dollar Canadian, and everybody here, at least if you're a long-time listener, I'm targeting 140. Okay, we have this huge cup and handle pattern that targets 140, if not 160. So the flag pattern itself targets 140. Okay, that means even though I'm not long right now, that means I'm buying it on dips anytime I can get my hands on it, and I'm playing it to the long side until we get to 140. The cup and handle itself on a monthly chart points to 160. So more than likely, I'm just going to be on the long side from now until we get to 160. That may take us 2 years, but that means I'm probably not going to be shorting the dollar Canadian anytime in the near future. My bias sets up my directional trading. Just because I'm not long the dollar Canadian right at this very second in time doesn't mean I'm not bullish. That means that I'm buying it on dips. You don't have to be long the dollar Canadian every second going from 124 to 140. I captured a good 500 some odd pip movement just 2 weeks ago. Now I'm just scalping at 20 pips, 30 pips, 40 pips here and there. We caught 80 pips the other day when it went down to 129. Well, we bought it at 129.20 and sold it at 130, like 40. Made like 120 pips the other day, something like that. Okay, I'm just buying it on dips now, and finding any type of reasonable dip to buy it at, and that does not change, and that will not change today either. If we get a dip in the dollar Canadian, I'm probably going to be buying it. If we get a decent dip. So this trend line looks like it's pretty tradable at the moment, but it dipped down to 131.50 down to that breakout point right here. Probably be a decent trade. Okay, if we drop below 131.50, that's probably going to turn it back down to 131, which is fine. I'll buy it there too, but at 131.50, and we're bullish. Okay, I'm gonna do it really quick. I'm gonna do the Kiwi Aussie, give you a 5-minute break. We'll do some of the other currencies before the ADP. So I just want to I'm kind of gonna rush through here a little bit. I'm running a little late. Let's go over to the Kiwi. So the jobs report out of New Zealand came in worse than expected. We slipped, okay, down towards 65 cents, but surprisingly we're holding above 65 cents. All right, now here's the thing, guys. I don't know how the hell we're holding above 65 cents right now, but if this ADP comes in strong, we're likely to start taking stops below 65 cents, and it's gonna get downright ugly, if that happens. So support point 6500. That is key because remember, I'm going to reiterate, when we broke this blue trend line here, let me get rid of all this other stuff for a second. Okay, when we broke this blue trend line right here, that squeezed out a lot of shorts. I mean, I wasn't short, but I even thought that the Kiwi was going to turn bullish. Okay, I was like, oh man, you know, we're going to squeeze back up towards 70 cents. I'm a bear. I'm a big Kiwi bear. I was even thinking, oh man, this is going to rip. There's a lot of people that got long. They put their stops below those lows. Those stops are coming back into play. So just keep that in mind. All right, now we drew this trend line, and I'm going to have to redraw it again. So any move up to 65, let's just call it 65.85, roughly, it's going to be a gift to be on the short side. All right, we're still in a very, very bearish trend. Aussie. Now, Aussie had a nice lift yesterday. I did short it into strength. I think myself and a few other people, we shorted it right here. I shorted at 74.19. Some people got better prices. We hit that resistance within 0.8 of a pip that we wrote down yesterday. Or no, I'm sorry, we wrote down 74.30. That was a really, really sweet move. And you have to imagine that that trend line is still in play. So all you have to do is take this trend line here, okay, bring it on down, and so any move back up towards 74.10, it's going to find sellers. I know the RBA is trying to slow down the descent of the Aussie, which makes sense, especially with commodities getting train wrecked. But, okay, but, you know, the Aussie is still a product of weaker oil, weaker crude, or weaker gold, weaker silver, weaker copper, okay? We did dip down to support as we had anticipated, and we bounced pretty well. I mean, we said, hey, a dip down to 73.50 would produce a nice buying opportunity. We actually dipped down to 73.30. The wick did, but the body held. So now 73.30 is going to be key support for today. We break below that, you're going to have a lot of disappointed bulls. I'll tell you right now. All right, I'm going to take just a couple of minute break. I need to go get some more coffee. When I get back, we'll finish up with the dollar index and throw on the Nordic currencies because the U.S. dollar, Norwegian krona, U.S. dollar, Swedish krona are trying to break out as well. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a few moments. Thanks. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. Sorry the break wasn't too long. I just want to make sure I get the remainder of this analysis done ahead of you know the ADP. So here this is the U.S. dollar, the FXCM U.S. dollar, and you can see intraday we've pulled back pretty good, and the dollar index was running into some pretty steep resistance anyway. So let's go over to the actual dollar index itself. And you can see how we came right up to, let me delete this really quick, came up right up into really critical resistance. This is big resistance on many levels, guys. You see this trend line we've had here for a while. I mean, the resistance comes in at 98.20, and it's big. We really have to break through that to you know, get super bullish on the dollar. And matter of fact, I'm going to have to do this too. Something looks like this. Oops. That. Okay. All right. So anyway, we'd have to break below yesterday's lows, which comes in at 97.21. to really turn us back into the range. 98.20 is key resistance, and we are still in a range, but we could, pull out of the range today. We really could. Let's go over to just a couple of, I'm going to take a real quick look at these currencies really fast. I'm going to try to grab a couple of your recent questions. And by the way, days that are so busy like today, I'm going to try to address a bunch of your questions the last half an hour, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to. Okay, so check this out. You guys that trade the peso. I don't trade the peso, but yesterday we were here and I drew, hey, if we get a rally to 1630, it'd be a good short, right? We went to 1630. See that shooting star? Now we have an hour left in this my candle anyway, but and if we have a real strong number, I mean the thing could bolt higher. That's obviously a risk. But see how we're stalling at the 618? So for those of you guys that trade the peso, you can see we're at a critical inflection point possible. Okay, let's go over to the Norwegian krona. So the Norwegian krona, so we posted a breakout above 827, which we're currently trading at 827 right now. And obviously with the dollar weakness, excuse me, over the last couple hours, it's weighed on the Norwegian krona. But we're really trying to hold above this 827. I mean, this is, we had this written for a while. So look, if we got some strong US data, you probably, for those of you that can trade the Norwegian krona, it's probably not a bad place to be on the long side, right here. But we're 7 minutes outside of ADP, so you might want to wait for that. Swedish krona broke yesterday pretty aggressively, and now remember, this is a really, really bullish breakout that this has been wedging. Notice here, we've been wedging into this, into this resistance. Broke out yesterday, and we're holding above it now. Now, of course, there's a lot of time left in today, and the dollar could obviously weaken, but this dollar Swedish krona, if we have strong US data today, and over the course of the next couple of days, we can theoretically take out, this resistance. And I don't want to sound crazy, but it would be crazy. This flag pattern, I mean, do you know where this thing points? We've done this before, so I don't want to freak anybody out, but I mean, this points to 10, above 10. I mean, that's ridiculous for the US dollar Swedish krona. I mean, if that really starts to play out, but if you think about, where the euro could go, and if the euro drops to, let's just say 95 cents over the next year or two, I mean, the Swedish krona could be trading at a 10 plus exchange rate. I mean, that'd be a weak crown, man. It would be. All right. So I'm not going to put any of those Nordics on right now. Here, hold on really quick. Let's go to the dollar yen. We'll know if it's a strong piece of data with the ADP. Looking at the dollar yen, obviously. Here is the bias chart if you want to go ahead and take a picture of it, or write it down or whatever. Let me see if I can grab a couple of quick questions, and then I'll take your questions after ADP.